What is up, guys? Winner Kills here. Welcome back to a brand new duel video. We got Invoked Mekk on the left versus Photon Galaxy on the right. It's not my most up-to-date build, but it's pretty darn close if you ask me. And it's been running really smooth. But if you're interested in the mat or any of the sleeves that we're using, all this stuff, all this really high quality gear is from Imperium Duelist. And if you want to pick up any of it for yourself, for a friend or anything, you can do that down in the links below. You can use that code WinnerKills10 off at ImperiumDuelist.com to save 10% on your next purchase on some of this really awesome stuff. But anyways, to go ahead and get started here, like I said, this is obviously the latest build in a video that I have with Photon Galaxy, but not my most current IRL build. See that Ash Blossom comes down to stop Photon Vanisher from going off. But I did take this deck to a locals last night, and I'm really impressed with how it did. I played a wide gambit of things. The only thing I felt I lost to was my own inability to pilot the deck against other decks, and just remembering certain combos and remembering the own limitations and restrictions that the deck has itself. So I'm really excited to go back next week and see how it goes. I'll definitely be reporting back to you guys that, and I'm going to be doing a live tournament report for said locals that happened yesterday on my next stream, which will be on Sunday, and this should be uploaded on Saturday, so the following day. If you want to check out that stream, link to my Twitch below. I'd love to have you guys for a live stream. If you never caught one, we're doing a live tournament report for Photon Galaxy. Yeah, so he gets things started here by summoning that purple Nightfall, which looks like it's going to go tag out essentially for Blue Sky. I'm not going to opt to negate that because I know there's no real threat coming my way until he probably gets something like a Red Moon on board. But I do chain number 90 to search Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, which will essentially load the gun that is Galaxy Eyes Soul Flare. Obviously, I have 3 cards in hand at the moment. For his effect, you can discard 2 Galaxy and/or Photon cards, or you could discard 1 Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, which obviously is the most cost efficient. And would rather have that to discard than the other 2 cards in my hand. Only want to do that if it's sort of a last-ditch resort. So he goes ahead and plays Hornet Drones. I will chain Galaxy Eyes Soul Flare Dragon to that to destroy the token, because that essentially, that Hornet Drone is a 1-card Alistair the Invoker, which I do not want him to have. And then he's going to go ahead and activate Instant Fusion. So this Instant Fusion is proven to be a great card this format, especially with Raging and Thousand Eyes Tricks, just removal cards, which seem to be needed in mass quantities these formats with so many build-a-board decks that exist. So Raging comes out, baits out the negation, the number 90, works fantastic. Definitely what he wanted out of that. So the Alistair, the Invoker, can go through. The one thing about this Mekk Invoked build, I've spent a lot of time changing ratios. I don't think the build in this one is the most updated. I have changed it quite a bit since the last one. I took the Brilliant Engine out for a Spellbook Engine, took the Spellbook Engine out for back for the Brilliant Engine, added more hand traps, cut some one-of cards that I didn't really like, etc., etc. So the build has been been through quite a bit of testing, I should say, because my brother has been testing the deck extensively because he's kind of been out of the game a while, getting back, learning some new decks, offering up to play my Mekk Invoked deck. So definitely putting the deck through some good changes, definitely some hardcore testing, if you will, I guess, just weeding out all the weak links. So speaking of links, there's Alistair, the Invoker of Madness, coming down. Still has to worry about a 3k defense monster that cannot be destroyed by card effects. As you see, Red Moon comes down. Obviously, the number 90 effect exhausted, as well as the Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. Mekk invokes push power, if you will, given their hand proving to be, top tier at this point. He's used so many cards at this point, and I've stopped so many plays that he's still, at this point, able to continue playing. There's another extender card, World Legacy Succession, summoning out to that zone that Alistair points to, bring back Raging, and that will prove to be an issue for me, obviously, in the following turns. But now I just have that 3k defense. Obviously, he can beat over that pretty easily, but he does have to exhaust the Alistair in his hand in order to get over that, or else he just leaves me with the number 90 and the ability to basically go into any other extra deck monster I want without having to worry about my extra monster zone be taken up. But he does use that Alistair to run it over. Definitely a worthwhile thing when you have a negation sort of type card like Raging still on your board. And I draw I think I picked up Wizard for turn. I have Vanisher, Zero, and Wizard in my hand right now. So I think I want to go Galaxy Zero here at the start, but I think I don't want to. I think I want to kind of save my play here because I don't have to worry about Mekka at this point, but I do have to worry about Ragin. So I'm trying to do all that I can, just sort of bait out the Ragin play, if you will. So Photon Thrasher hits the board. Obviously that free summon. And that's going to grab me, obviously, Galaxy Eyes, Photon Dragon, because why not? And now there's two things that I can do. I can either tribute away the Wizard for a Galaxy card, which I guess I could have gone for a Galaxy Trance, given the fact that I only have 35 life points left. Maybe not the best idea, but this here gets me into Soulflare Dragon, which I know he can't book, adds back Soldier, and Soldier can activate here to search me a Galaxy monster, which I think I end up grabbing Knight. I think at the end of the day, see, like, this is what I'm talking about. I've been playing this deck for so long, like, sometimes I get ahead of myself thinking, like, oh, I already know what kind of combo I want to do at this point. But in often cases, it just ends up not being the right thing in hindsight. Like, last night at Locals, I was playing against an Infernoid Danger player, and I went first turn Soulflare Infinity. My hand was fantastic, but I had Trance in my hand, and if I would have just remembered Trance's restriction, I could have ended with number 90, number 38, and Soulflare, and I would have been in a fantastic position. I would have stopped his Decatron and his Void Imagination that ended up going off, which ultimately killed me because he sent NTTS and a bunch of danger plays afterwards, which could have been mitigated had I stopped the Decatron and the Void Imagination from beginning. In the first place. So there, I think tributing away that Galaxy Wizard for a Trance and sort of sacrificing the Soulflare play probably would have been the better way to go. But either way, he does have the Book of Moon to perhaps stop the initial rank 8, but then I can, zero back number 90, or he could just book whatever monster I go into first, and then I can, I don't know. It's a weird situation either way. But I think adding Galaxy Trance there to begin with would have been the move, essentially. Anyways, here we are in game 2. Ash Blossom comes down and stops that Galaxy Soldier from going through. And a lot of times I notice, especially when you're playing a deck like this at Locals, not everybody knows what the hell you're doing. That's obviously, it goes with any deck that your opponents have never seen before. They think they know what cards they want to stop, especially when your opponent sees, familiar cards like Galaxy Soldier, like, oh, he's gonna go for Infinity or something. I want to stop that. But then all your other really good plays are pretty much essentially free to go through because no one else really knows what's the heart and soul of the deck, what's the most important thing to stop. What are they capable of with the cards that they have on field at the current point in time. So my hand, thanks to Orbital, allows me to get at least an Infinity on board. At least an Infinity, which is better, of course, than a Sharp Stick in the Eye. I do hit him for 27 because he didn't open up too well during his opening turn and ended up just really setting and passing, allowing for this Infinity to come through. But the big problem with Mekk Knight, obviously, as you may have realized, no monsters they have over 2,500 attack. And with this Infinity sitting at 2,700, there's really not a whole lot he can do. And obviously there's that Avram in hand. Very, very unlucky to open up Avram. I think playing Avram is the way to go. I think Avram is a little better than playing Trixar, or not Trixar, the Clown, the Perform Age Clown thing that summons. I'm literally forgetting its name right now, forgive me. But the one that, when it hits the grave, you can summon it by taking 1,000. I think Avram is better because I think it has more synergy with the deck, especially when playing a card like Lazuli, because you can't play Lazuli and Trick Clown. That's what it is, Trick Clown together, because obviously Lazuli has no purpose. There's no Manila to add back. And I like the fact that you can get that monster back for free. But, like, it's just the side effect of running the Brilliant Engine. I still really like the Brilliant Fusion Engine and what it does for this deck. It creates so many easy link plays, and obviously super combo heavy, really powerful plays. But again, I'm very smart when it comes to playing against Mekk Knight. I obviously know the deck extremely well. He's playing my deck. That's essentially what it's coming down to. I know my only threat, the only thing I'm really, really worried about is Red Moon. So, of course, I'm going to save my negation for Red Moon. Now, there's something sort of interesting happens there with this play. He perhaps could have, I don't know what was in his hand to start, if he had some way to sort of search something, like get another monster on field, and then World Legacy Memory out Red Moon after baiting a negation. Like perhaps using Morningstar in a card and summoning like another normal Mekk Knight in his hand, going into Unicorn, discarding a card, attempting to spin it, and then if he still had resources left, because I think if he would have gone that Unicorn route, he would have had to ditch the memory in hand to try to spin, which still leaves him with no out at the end of the day to this Infinity, which is still proving to be a sort of a pain in the ass. Like I was saying, if he had like one extra card to work with, again, I'm not exactly sure what he had in his opening hand. Could have perhaps, you know, gone into Unicorn, ditched, and then that last card summons out, you know, Red Moon in defense in that same zone. And obviously, Memory is nice because it doesn't negate the monster's effect that comes out. You can still use its effect. It just has to come out in defense and returns to the hand during the end phase. So he could have summoned out and then summoned it there. But again, I don't know if that was 100% entirely true. Maybe you're watching and go back and sort of rewind it and see for yourself. He does have the pass to me, though, unfortunately. Now, Morningstar usually does hold down the fort pretty well in situations like these, but obviously Infinity doesn't really care. He's just going to suck it up. Anyways, attacking for 27, he does gain that additional 200 because he now has that extra material underneath him. And obviously can't put Morningstar in defense mode to protect from being stolen by the Infinity. So Purple Nightfall comes back here, and obviously with Red Moon being exhausted, I only play one Red Moon. This is like a super situational type of game where you'd want maybe something like 2 Red Moon, but obviously just not being able to access that card right now, kind of hurting, as you might imagine. And still, this is one Infinity, and again, it's Mekk Knight's issue with you know, not being able to deal with anything over 2,500 attack, and for the most case, unless you open up really good cards to go with it. But I think that's why the main changes that I've made going forward with Mekk Knight Invoked after this video was I cut a bunch of one-ups. Like I cut Book of Law because it bricks and does more bad than it ever does good, in my opinion. And I think a lot of Mekk Knight players can agree with that, at least the ones that I've talked to and builds that I've seen going around. And I've added, you know, triple Ghost Ogre to the main deck, so we're playing double the hand trap, essentially. Triple Ash, triple Ogre, and I've added double Gamma Seal to the deck because I've seen some builds running a small Kaiju engine, which I do like because it just doesn't hurt, especially when you're a diehard going second deck. You want to see hand traps. You want to see removal cards. So cards like this Infinity don't get made in the first place because you have Ghost Ogre and you have Kaijus to get rid of them once and for all. And then usually the 2 to 3 cards you have left in your hand are enough to really just pop like way off. And he does go ahead and activate the other purple here, and grabs I believe another Mekk Knight here. Obviously going to grab Blue Sky. And again, like Cerberus he could go into at this point, but Cerberus is obviously only destroys things in the main monster zone. I kind of wish Cerberus did destroy things in the extra monster zone. He'd be a much better card, but obviously it is essentially what it is, and he does have to pass it back over to me. I do have Photon Thrasher in hand. That's an important thing to keep in mind. So I start my turn, go right into main phase, and I can't do anything else. I'm just sort of chilling, gaining advantage in the hand. And he goes to activate Purple Nightfall, and negate and destroy. Obviously, I didn't need to, because if he didn't do that, I could just have stolen an attack for 27, which would have been game. I don't think I'd needed to negate it, but I take him. He takes another 25, which puts him down to 100. Really down to the wire here. I don't think the game needed to go to this point. I think I could have won it earlier, or maybe there was some way he could have won it earlier. I'm not entirely sure. Blue Sky comes out, and again, I'm not going to negate it because there's literally no reason to. Adds Blue Sky, and of course, there's really no way he can sort of get around the Infinity without having to go into a Link 3 and then having a follow-up play after that. The only thing he could do right now, and looking back, I'm not exactly sure why he didn't. I think perhaps just overthinking the play, and overthinking can be a very powerful thing as most of you know if you ever sat down to play a match. Overthinking can be your biggest enemy. So, and there he does. He actually does go ahead and crashes. But I think in hindsight, it's 2020 here. I do have Thrasher in hand, which obviously just summon, swing over 100, and that's game. So he didn't entirely need to summon Blue Sky out in attack mode. He could have put him out in defense because he does come out in 25. But that's banking on a lot. That is banking on the simple fact that I only have one play, and that's to summon the Thrasher and poke for game. But I do have quite a bit of cards in my hand and quite a bit of resources left in deck and extra deck. And I've got graveyard things to work with. So I don't think it would have made the biggest difference in the world. Debating if there's any last minute plays here he wants to make. Maybe perhaps activating that set card he has there. Not entirely sure. Contemplating it, but it doesn't look like it's going to get activated here. I'm not entirely sure. Checking the extra deck one more time. See if there's any last thing we can do. And I think he knew perhaps I had the Thrasher in hand, which would just obviously be outright game there for 100. That Thrasher putting in work, essentially. Here we are in game 3. I start things off with Trade-In ditching that Galaxy Eyes, putting that to the grave, and I do have Trance in grave. I love Trance. I see a lot of people playing Trance at 1. I don't really agree with that. I think Trance is an absolutely fantastic card. The only time it inflicts is when you have an Infinity play, which honestly can always be sacrificed for a Soul Flare and double rank 8 or rank 8 and rank 4, which I think might be better in some cases. It obviously depends on what you're playing against and what the rest of your hand looks like. But I get my play started here with Trance, which allows my Orbital to have a free target without having to use anything like a normal summon. Now, I do a decent sort of play here. I just, instead of going into a rank 8, I'm just going to go ahead and turn these into a Soul Flare Dragon, get a card back, and I think I go for Orbital because reoccurring that Surge card is so key. I did play a Burning Abyss Danger play the other day, and I was kept able to recycle, you know, Orbital, and then my other Soul Flare would recycle another Soul Flare, and then the other Soul Flare somehow recycle Orbital, etc., etc. A lot of recycling the deck can do. That's why I sort of question the need for a Galaxy Cleric, because I know some builds are playing him. I just don't know if I really want to play Galaxy Cleric at the end of the day. I think the deck does a good enough job recycling on its own. And I don't think its grind game is the best, but I don't think Cleric fixes its grind game to begin with. Maybe on a card like Hercules Base or something, or a Daigusto Emerald, you know, rank 5. Could you imagine that? One thing I've always talked about is if Photon Galaxy ever gets a rank 5, I hope it does something for resource management, because a rank 5 Photon or Galaxy monster would be extremely welcome, because it just sort of makes Galaxy Soldier like a weird card that was only ever invented for Cyber Dragon Infinity, which I don't like to think that's the case, but like, Konami, if you're listening, which I hope you are, think about a rank 5 for Photons. Make it do something neat. Maybe recycle some resources, protect someone, change attack value, just something so we can have a rank 5 and a rank 8 play via Trance. That'd be very cool. So Mind Control comes down here. I've got Tachyon Transmigration, which, by the way, if you guys don't play Tachyon Transmigration in your build, I highly recommend it. It's a fantastic card. It negates everything prior into the chain link, and anything that it did negate on field gets shuffled back into the deck. And I find that Transmigration is literally a blowout against Burning Abyss decks, because they have so many chain links going off in the grave, and you'd be like chain link 3, chain link 4, whatever, just shuffle them all back. And obviously that type of whether it's just shuffling back or a sheer negation, very good against a graveyard heavy deck like BA. I highly recommend it. I was experimenting with Photon Change, which is a trap card like I still want to really like in the deck. Like if I were to play up to 4 trap cards in the deck, I'd play 2 Transmigration, 2 Change. And if those who don't know what Photon Change does, basically you destroy it at the second standby phase after its activation. It's a continuous trap. And as you see, my board here having negation after disruption after negation. Eventually, there's literally nothing else you can do. Every play he had, I had a counter for it at this point. And I'm going to proceed to OTK here with the 2 remaining cards in hand, which is pretty nice. Sanctuary and Reborn coming in clutch here. Putting on massive damages here, you'll see. And the one thing I want to mention... Oh, also, like, I do this, like, here. I overlay 62 over number 90, which obviously you can't do. I don't know why I did that. Regardless, it's game either way. I thought it was something like Full Armor Dragon. I think I meant to put Full Armor Dragon over top for extra damage. But Photon Change is a pretty neat card. Destroys itself in the second standby phase after its activation. It's a continuous trap, obviously, and you can tribute a Photon or a Galaxy monster to basically either add a Photon monster to a Photon card to your hand, or special summon a Photon monster with a different name. And if you like tribute Galaxy Eyes, you get to activate both effects. I think it's nice for clearing off random monsters that sometimes linger around in your field after a combo that you really don't have any room to do anything with, or any other like pieces to work with to be able to make them work. So it's an interesting card. I do kind of still want to experiment it with that, like 1 of or 2 of. I did play it in the tournament yesterday. Kind of came in handy in some points, but I don't know. Transmigration is a great card. Either way, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like I said, if you were interested in any of the sleeves or the mats we're using, it's all from Imperium Duelist. If you go down to the description, you can check that link there. That goes to their website and that discount code if you want to get 10% off. Help support me and help save you guys a little money in the process, which of course is a win-win. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate all the support. We just broke 7,500 subscribers, which is absolutely insane. Much love. Appreciate it. Have a great day, guys. And as always, when we kill signing out, we'll see you in the next one.